Okay, so what I was saying is it looks like I've got my feathers upside down, how I intended them to be used. But so what I need to do is let me go my hypergraph. And let me unparent. Actually, let me select both of these and hey, let's see what group does. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay. So what I did, I don't know, maybe I should do it in 2 actions. So I'm going to unparent the actual feather, and then I'll grab both. Let me stop my playback. Then I'll grab the feather base that it belongs to, and I'm going to group them both together. We'll see if that gets rid of our double transformation. Okay, pause, let's rewind. And I had to make sure I have access to this attribute. Now when you click a playback like this, interactive playback mode, you can switch which objects that you have selected and stuff like that, but you won't, the channel box won't update, which is kind of a pain. So if you change your selection, you won't have your new selection in the channel box. So you have to stop playback to get it back in there. Anyway, so that's why I stopped and rewound. So I click play. There's my feather working. Let's use my attribute. Let's see if I get a double transformation. And I'm not. That's good. Okay. So now all I'd have to do is go through and do that to all my feathers. Okay. And I think you'll find that it's actually not going to be too terribly hard. And obviously, it would react better if it was working off of keyed information. It does all that snappy movement because I'm an unpredictable variable as I'm editing this attribute. So it would look nicer if it was actually animated. And then to adjust our settings for the hair dynamics, all we'd have to do is select our hair system, press Control A, and on the hair system shape, we have this dynamic properties. You could also set up collisions if you want to make sure the feathers don't collide with each other. All those things would be fine. You just want to make sure that it's usable, because adding dynamics to a rig always very easily has a potential of crippling the usability of the rig. Because it can be very difficult for Maya to use. So I'm going to turn on the start curve attract. I'm going to turn up the stiffness scale. Then we'll rewind. And make sure I got this selected so I can edit it. Okay. So now you notice not much changed on the feather. If I make a snappy movement, it does. So that's more realistic. If the bird wing were to whip that fast, that might be a more realistic motion. And so you just want to play with those. There's also the other thing you would want to play with is, let me turn off surfaces. So, well, actually, let me go to my hypergraph. If I select the nucleus, this is in charge of like gravity and all that sort of stuff. And so you could make increase or decrease gravity or air density. You know, you have a lot of options in here. You can look at them in here as well. But basically, you'll want to play with the hair system and the nucleus to get that to be a realistic hair simulation for feathers. Okay, and honestly, that'll be, you'll just have to go online and look up those attributes and see what they're in charge of for simulation purposes, and set those settings. Okay, so anyway, that's how to do hair. So here's mass and drag, and this is in the hair shape, so we could even decrease this so there's less drag because they're so lightweight. We could increase how its stiffness to, you know, all those things. It shouldn't be too hard to get them to react appropriately. Anyway, and that's how you hook up feathers on a wing.